I want to show you guys how to work with HTML5 multimedia in this video. And because of that, I decided to build this HTML5 neon music player right here so that it can actually give us the opportunity to really experiment with that of the multimedia. And we're basically going to just be dealing with the audio part. I know that we do have video and some other things right there, all right? So, but the major thing in there is just we have to like take a look at the audio. Maybe in the future, we are going to take a look at the video part of it, all right? So that's just basically what that is. So I built this. Let's see how this works. You can use this play button right here to play the music. So if I hit on this play button, the music is going to be just basically start. Let me hit on that. All right, I hope you heard the music, right? So we're just basically playing that within our web page right here. So with this, you can just start or stop the music, all right? So if I hit on that again, you notice that the music starts, right? So we can also seek the music, all right? If you want to seek that, let's hit on the play button first, then we can seek. Did you see that we were able to seek that? So that's just what that is. Also, we can mute the audio right here. Let's say, for instance, we don't want to be hearing the sound anymore. You can hit on the mute icon right here. So let's do that right now. And you see that that was muted, right? So the music can still be playing, but you won't actually be hearing anything. Just watch. All right, so another feature right here is that let me unmute this first of all, and we can also kind of adjust the playback speed right here. So if we hit on this icon right here, and then we'll go to playback speed, you see that if you want that to play a lot faster, you can maybe select 1.25 right here or 1.5. So let's hit on the play button and see how fast that plays. You got that right. So all of these things are really embedded in HTML5 multimedia. So we are going to just basically achieve that in this video. So without wasting much time, let's go ahead and then create a folder for this and then see what we can do. I want to say a whole shout out to Fast Shop. If you are actually someone who has digital products or digital services and you are looking for a place to list your product and get yourself exposed to hundreds or even thousands of customers, you can go to ofastshop.com and list your products. So if you have something like plugins, you have ebooks, digital courses, even people who are into affiliate marketing can actually go to this particular website to list their products and services. And at this particular time of recording this video, this particular platform can offer you this just 100% free of charge. So if you have products you want to list and you don't have money to pay for listing, you can actually go to this platform to list your product and you will get your product listed and get 100% of whatever sales you make from the platform. So if you're into web design, you can go there. People into YouTube automation, website design, just write about any digital courses or any digital product, you can go to ofast.com and register your business right there. So students can also go to this platform because this platform is actually a platform where serious students can actually meet serious instructors. So feel free to go to ofastshop.com, and I'm going to also put a link to the website in the description below. All right, so I want to do that on my desktop. So let's create a new folder right here, and I'm going to just basically call this HTML5 neon player, and I want to basically open that up within my Visual Studio Code. So if we hit here, and then we can just basically open that up, and I want to create my first file in here, which I'm just basically going to call index.html, and then we'll press enter. And the first thing I want to do is to bring in my HTML boilerplate. So I want to do exclamation and then hit tab on my keyboard, and it's going to basically generate this. So if you don't have a meet in your editor, you may not be able to do this. All you can do is you just pause the video and type this out. This is not really much anyway. So the first thing I want to do is to give this a title. So let's basically call this neon, and that becomes the title right there. I want to copy this, and I would like to use that within my body part. So in the body section of the application, let's try to create something like H2 right here, and I want to make use of the same thing that I have in the title section. So after that, if we get down here, if you're working with HTML multimedia and you basically want to work on that of the audio, so the tag for that is just basically called the audio, like that. All right, so this is what it is right here. So we did have the tag created. This is the open tag right here, and this is the closing tag called the audio. If it was basically video, you would like basically change this to video instead of making use of audio right here. All right, so for just mentioning that in case of some of you who may like to do that ahead of time. Now, these particular tags right here, they are just basically correct if you want to use, let's say, a single source file. All right, for instance, I want to basically let me get a music right here, and I'm going to just basically explain to you what I mean at a later time. So I want to take this music right here, and let's go back to that particular, where is it? Right here. So I want to open this up and then put the music right here. So I would like to make use of this particular file right here, and that's just basically the music I want to use. So we can play the music. All right, so I want to close this out, and then if we go back in here, I want to basically make use of that. So by putting that right here, and of course we need to add the extension. So this is going to be mp3 right there to just basically get the music. So if we want to have, we can add something like controls right here, so that we can see the play. First of all, let me even try to open that up within my browser. So if we open our file right here and then open index, this is just basically what we're working on right here, but you wouldn't actually see much of the controls on this page right here. So I want to add controls. So if we go in here and just say something like controls and then save the changes, then let's refresh our browser right here. You see that the icon for controls, it kind of came in, right? And then we can hit on play. Of course, you see that the music basically plays, and then all of those things that we mentioned, they kind of come in just automatically, right? You can adjust the playback speed, you can mode the audio or whatever you want to do, right? So with that line alone, it's enough to really bring in the audio. But I'm of the opinion that if, let's say for instance, because this multimedia right here lacks the capacity to play on some kind of browsers, all right, and for that reason you are going to need a double source. It's not going to just be a single source the way that this is right here. So for that reason I want to take away this right here, and then I want to include the source within the tags right here. All right, so this can completely work. This is just the minima that you can use if you want to make use of just a single music in there. But if you want to bring in other kind of sources in case if a particular browser did not actually understand the video or the audio format you brought in, so you want to provide an alternative for that. So you want to go ahead and then do that within the audio tags right here, and you're going to basically use another tag other than that particular tag that we already saw, and that's just basically called as something like source. All right, so let's do that right here. So I'm going to just do source right here, and then we're going to need a couple of parameters. The first one is actually going to be the src right here, which basically kind of helps us bring in the audio or the file right here. All right, and then we can also set a type attribute for this, and we can go ahead and set that to be equal to, and basically this is just basically going to be audio. So I'm going to just do audio, and it's going to be / and I'm going to just do ogg, and we can just go ahead and terminate this. So I want to copy this first of all because I want to bring in a second format right there. All right, so this one we're going to just change this one to mpeg like that. And to explain this thing that I'm just basically outlining right here, this is just basically the MIME type. All right, and this first one right here is not really very supported on most browsers, especially the old browsers. But the one down here is just basically referring to MP3 and it's widely supported. All right, so that's what this MIME type is just basically doing down here. So you want to go ahead and include that when you're working with your multimedia, especially when you're working with your audio. All right, and that's just basically what that. So what this is going to do is that once you try to load this in any browser, any of these formats that particular browser kind of supports, is going to just basically pick that. So that's why I want to use this particular one right here. So if you make use of this, your audio is most likely going to play on any browser or any device. So that's just basically what that is. So the next thing I would like to add right here is, so in case we're in a situation where none of the formats right here are supported by any browser, we want to print out a message right here. So we can just say something like your audio, or something like, we could say something like your browser does not support this audio, something like that, this audio element. All right, so that the owner of the application or the owner of the browser would know that their browser does not really support the file that we want to play on their device, all right, or on their browser. All right, so let's save the changes, and you're going to just notice basically that the stuff is still going to stay the same. So if we go back in here, we'll refresh, and you see that we still basically have everything right here. All right, so we can just play the music if we want. All right, so we can do anything right there. All right, so the next thing I would like to add is there are some people that may want, like, basically once people arrive on their websites right here, maybe once the page is loaded, they want the music to start playing automatically. All right, so if you want to include something of that nature, there is an attribute we can add right here. So we can just do something like autoplay, save the changes, and then once we get to the browser, once it's first loaded, the music may just basically start playing automatically. All right. And I don't know if this is just basically playing, and if it's just playing, you can just let me know in the comment, or I'm just basically going to find that out when I kind of edit this video, if that just basically plays. All right. So this could just be play, but I'm not really seeing this icon as something that's really playing right now, but that's just what it is. So if you don't want that to play, some people may also add an attribute called a muted if you don't want to basically be hearing what is just playing on that. So we can add muted attribute right here, and the music could be playing. So the music could be playing, but because if you take a look at this icon, you see that audio has been silenced. All right. So, but what I basically want to do is, let me just keep on working with this right here. If you want to make use of, if you want to make use of the autoplay, that's just completely fine. You can do that. All right. So just know with that the browser, the owner of the browser, just have some rights in their browser. All right. So they may just disable autoplay. If you added that and the disabled autoplay, it's just basically not going to play. So let me just basically work with this right here. And I think that this is all that we need right here. We can just add some styles to this so it can look like the original that we presented. And if you want to do that, let me just add the style tags right here. And you should just feel free, if this was actually something like a production application, you would create an external CSS for this and then write the CSS right there. All right, but this is just a very little application, so I wouldn't actually bother myself about trying to create a standard file to this. So let's go ahead and style the body right here. I'm going to just give this a background, and I'm basically going to set that to the following hexadecimal values. So this is going to be 08080. All right, so we have that done there. Then the next one is just basically sent to the font family. So I'm going to just do font family, spread that with a comma, and I'm going to just say sans serif, and that's just what that is. Then the next one is to just say display, because I would like to push that to the center of the web page, and I'm going to just basically do flex right here. And next one is actually going to be the height. So to work on the height right here, let's make sure I type height correctly. And I'm just basically going to set this to 100 VH for viewport height, and we can maybe justify the content to the center of the web page right there. So this is going to be center, and after that we can also align the items, and this is going to just basically be center. And then after that we can just say margins, we set that to 0, so it's going to be margin, and you can set the margins to 0. And the color of the text we want to use right there, we can just go ahead and set that to the following text color, so it's going to be 00, and we're going to just have FF like that. So let's use that variant of text color in there. Now I want to do something on this particular place right here, and that's just basically to add something like, I want to add something like a div right up here. And to do that, this is going to be a div, and I'm going to give that a class, and I'm going to basically call this player, because I want to make use of that to style a couple of sections down there. All right, so let's put that down here, and we do have that as a player right there, and then we'll have everything inside of that. So if we want to style that, what we want to do is to just basically reference to it. So if we get down here, I'm going to just do dot player. Let's create a little space to make that kind of a readable. So this is going to be dot player, and I'm going to give this a couple of styles right here. So the width, first of all, is actually going to be set to 320 pixels, and after that we're also going to set the padding. I'm going to just do padding right here, and I'm going to just set that to 25 pixels. And after that, we can set the border radius. So this is going to be border dash radius, and I want to set the border of the radius to 20 pixels. So that becomes 20 pixels. And down here, I want to make a background for this. So to do that, it's going to be background, and I'll set it to the following. I'm going to use RGBA like that. So it's going to be RGBA. Of course, this last one is actually going to be opacity. And let's set it to the following background first of all. So the first one is actually going to be 0, and I'm going to set 0 again and 0 again. Then the last value is actually going to be the opacity. Let's set that to 50%. Let's terminate that line in there. And down there, we want to set a box shadow. So let's do box shadow, and I want to set it to the following color. So this is going to be 0, 0, and let's say 35 pixel right here. And then the next value is actually going to be the color we want to use. So this is going to be set to 0, 0, and I'm going to just do EA, and I'm going to just do FF80 like that. All right. So I hope this is just basically correct. Just underlining that red. I don't know why. But down here, let's do a text align. So we just do text align. This is gonna be to the center of the web page. So we just do center. And after we do that, we can also set the background filter. So this is gonna be background dash filter, and I'm going to just basically set it to, so sorry about that, this is not background, but this should be something like backdrop, right? So we can just set that to backdrop instead of background. What is it called? So I'm going to just do backdrop, and what I want to do is I'm going to blur that a little bit. So I'm going to just do blur right here, and we just basically want to set that to maybe 6 pixels of blur, right? And we can terminate that right here. So I want to save the changes, and if we get a look at that right here, you see that this is just basically coming together, but I think we're basically not seeing the what is it called, this player right here, this particular div that we just created. So I want to be sure that that is just basically correct. So if we check, we do have a class right here, and we're doing player. So I think that there are a couple of mistakes right here. At first, let me even check whether we are really getting the player. Let's do a border first of all. I'm going to just do border, and let's take these away. I'm going to do maybe 2 pixels solid. Let's do red right here. Save the changes, and if we refresh right here, okay, so we're just basically getting the player right here. In that case, okay, I think we have a, this comma isn't supposed to really be here. And again, okay, we need to introduce a comma right here, and then we set a couple other more values right here. So this is going to be this way, and we're going to just add, maybe this one is just basically going to be 15 pixels. Let's do 15 pixels right here, and then we can give that the color we would like to use. So this is going to be 0, 0, and we're going to just do EA and FF right there. So if we save the changes, I believe this should be able to do it right now. So let's go back here, refresh, and it's better now. So we're getting this shadow right here, and let's take away this. We don't need this right here. Save the changes. Let's go back and take a look at that one more time. So I want to refresh, and this is just looking like the original now, right? So that's fine. We can also take that further, maybe to style the, if we go back in here, I want to style the H. Let me copy this and then paste that on the next line. And we'll just basically want to reference to the history right here. So let's do history. And all of these things that we'll have in here may not be needed. So we can just basically get rid of this. And what I want to do, forget about the width even though. So let's just do margin bottom, and I want to basically set that to be equal to 20 pixels. So this is going to be 20 pixels, and we can do color, and we'll set the color to the following right here. So this is just basically going to be I'm going to do 0, 0, and maybe I'm going to use this right here. All right, let's go ahead and then use that. And down here we can just do a text, maybe text shadow. We'll do shadow right here, and I want to go ahead and set that to the following text shadow. So it's going to be 0, comma, not comma but just space, and I'm going to just do 10 pixels. And after that we can go ahead and maybe give it the same color that we have up there. All right, so I'm going to just copy this and put it right here, and that should just basically do it. And that is just that of that particular place. So if you save the changes right here and we'll take a look at there, you see that this now has some kind of a shadow drop right there. All right, So that's just basically what that is, guys. So we can also style the audio if we want to kind of style this control right here. And if you want to do that, I'm not quite sure if this is going to work, but it's just basically going to be an optional thing anyway. But let me just try to add a couple of things in here. So let me say that the width is actually going to be set to 100%. And down here, we can do margin tab. So if we do margin dash top, and we can just maybe make that 10 pixels. This is really not recommended, guys. So we can also add a filter right here, and let's set that to maybe let's call that drop shadow, and within this drop shadow function, let's set the first value to this, and we can set the next one to 10 pixels, and we can give it the color word, maybe basically one that to use. All right, so I'm going to just do this, and I'm going to just basically do 00, and this is going to be EA, and we can just do FF then 80 like that. So let's save the changes, and I think I'll just basically stop right here. Everything should just basically be okay by now, and I think it looks just more like the original, right? This is the original right here. It just basically looks the same. So let's refresh, and we can just basically play the music once more to be sure that everything is just working the way that it used to be. So let's hit on play button. That makes sense, right? You can also seek. Beautiful. If you want to play that and then pause the kind of silence the audio, we can also do that, right? So we can seek. Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to just basically stop right here. So we can even take this further to maybe use JavaScript to add a play button right here and mute all those things that we basically want to do. All right, if you want to turn this to a full-blown application, you can do that. So feel free to do that on your own. And maybe in the next one, I'm going to take a look at something like videos if you do like this. So if you want me to do that, you can go to the comment section and then put the request right there. Maybe just simply do video. All right, just type video right there, and I will just interpret that as a request to just build a video player with data of our HTML5 and then few lines of a CSS. All right, so if I get like 50 comments on that, I'm going to just basically do that. So if I don't get up to that, I'm just basically going to ignore it. That means that you guys don't need it. So thank you for watching, and feel free to like the video and share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next one.